Hello fight fans and welcome to another edition of Fight News Now Extra. It's John Pollock with you, and John Ramdeen and Robin Black will also be popping by as usual. Today we're chatting Joe Rogan, transporting us back to 1993 with some style versus style analysis. World Series of Fighting announces a tournament, and Bellator confirms a main event for September. Former UFC light heavyweight Vladimir Matyushenko will make his Bellator debut on Friday, September the 13th, where he will take on former Bellator champion Christian Mphumbu. After missing all of 2012 due to an Achilles tendon injury, Matyushenko returned this past January and was submitted by Ryan Bader, while Mphumbu dropped the title in his last fight to Attila Vey this past February. The World Series of Fighting is planning a big four-man middleweight tournament for their fifth event that takes place September the 14th, going head-to-head with the Floyd Mayweather Jr. Saul Canelo Alvarez fight. The first round fights will feature David Branch taking on Danilo Villefort, and former MFC fighter Elvis Mutapcic will meet Jesse Taylor, who is part of the Ultimate Fighter Season 7. UFC lightweight Edson Barboza spoke to Sherdog coming off his second victory by way of leg kicks at UFC 162 over Rafael Oliveira. Barboza only has one blemish on his record with a TKO loss to Jamie Varner in May of 2012, but has since won his last two fights and is now hoping to fight a top 5 opponent in hopes of rising up the extremely deep lightweight division. And Joe Rogan recently commented on the merits of pure boxing against other styles, offering his opinion that an elite college wrestler would have no problem handling Floyd Mayweather Jr. with the benefit of takedowns, as would a seasoned judoka, and Mayweather Jr. would not have any answers for those style of competitors. So when Joe Rogan was breaking down, I think, Floyd Mayweather, you had to have imagined that most people listening to that have an idea of Art Jimerson in their head with one boxing glove on, going to fight an elite college wrestler.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many variables when you're talking about a boxer versus a wrestler. What type of enclosure? How big is it? What are the rules? I mean, really, when it comes down to it, Floyd Mayweather Jr. is one of the best athletes in the world. All he has to do, really, is just run away. Yeah, and then he wins the fight.
Yeah, is this taking place in a bathroom or in a stadium? Because if it's in a football stadium, Floyd Mayweather wins 100% of the time. Yeah. He's got the cardio to run around, make the guy exhausted, and take him down. And I can't believe we're really analyzing this, but we are. If it's in a bathroom, the wrestler will put him up against the wall, squeeze him, put him on the ground, use whatever hammer fist techniques he has, and win it. I mean, so many variables. Are we talking about rules? Is this a structured contest? Because if it is, it'll go a certain way. Or is it like the loser gets their daughter's ass kicked? Okay, then we're going to fight a different way. I mean,
you would think in a narrow alleyway, though, like Floyd would be able to kind of just keep him, in range here, and then just beat him off with distance, create distance. You don't think so?
No, the wrestler's just going to drive
right away.
No gloves, though. Yeah. Floyd's hand breaks on first contact.
Sure. Floyd knocks a guy out first punch. Some wrestler never been punched in the face. He eats one uppercut, is hesitant for 1 second, he's unconscious. Yeah. We're really breaking this down.
Well, let's chat about insanity, and that's World Series of Fighting, who are going to run a card head-to-head with what is going to be perhaps the biggest boxing pay-per-view in history, if not number 2 of all time, going against the Floyd Mayweather Jr. Canelo Alvarez fight on September the 14th. Why, in your right mind, with any Saturday out there, why would World Series of Fighting decide to run a card that night?
I'll tell you why. It's because they don't understand that there's crossover from boxing and mixed martial arts fans, which, it's just unfortunate because right now, you talk to a lot of mixed martial arts fighters, they love the art of boxing. It's so integral to mixed martial arts. So to go out there and see the best fighter in the world, I think a lot of people are going to tune in. But I mean, for a lot of MMA fans,
this fight's going to attract way more non-boxing fans.
Exactly.
Well, that's going to be so big. Like no one else. It's just throw the flag in that night in terms of counter programming.
True, but at the same time, there's a lot of MMA fans out there that just aren't willing to give boxing a shot for whatever reason, and they could care less about Canelo or Lucas Matisse or some of these other fighters.
Not as many as there used to be. I'm going to agree with you guys on it, but I'm going to throw a counterpoint out. It's like, what else do you do? We are a 24-hour combat sports channel. When there's a UFC on, what do? What do we run? We put boxing on. I mean, it's the only real thing you could do, and I guess it's that sort of thinking, but truthfully,
with all due respect, the night that Floyd Mayweather is fighting Canelo, no one is going to be watching this station here.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, it could be true, man. Like, I mean, we're the biggest MMA fans. The people that we train with and the people that are close friends of ours are the biggest consumers of MMA on the planet. We're going to be watching that boxing match. It's a great fight.
Is this a middleweight four-man tournament that inspires any interest from you guys? We have Elvis Mutapcic, who we've all seen compete for the MFC, as well. Jesse Taylor being brought back into this tournament, Danilo Villafort, and David Branch as well, round out the 4.
It's very skilled guys. I mean, when you look at their skill set and how talented they are inside of the mixed martial arts realm, yes, it's a very interesting tournament. But the fact is, it doesn't have the star power, the name brand behind it. And yes, it's going to be a lot of skillful guys getting in there and showcasing their skills and their abilities, but I just don't think it's enough. They need some star power, like a guy like Tyrone Spong to, I think, attract a lot of people. But even with Tyrone Spong fighting, people are not going to give up their night to watch Canelo and Floyd to see Dave Branch and Tyrone Spong.
I've been flip-flopping around a little bit on my opinion of World Series of Fighting because it doesn't look like there's as specific a goal as, say, Bellator, who has, of course, been around for many years at this point. But Bellator is, like, clearly becoming Pepsi to the Coke. They're the number 2 guys who want to vie for number 1. But now I start to look at World Series of Fighting with a little bit of a better view. I look at it like, hey, man, you got your Coke and you got your Pepsi, but of everything else in the world, let's be the best of that first. Let's try to be the biggest and the best of everything remaining, and then move from there. And I think that's not a bad strategy.
Quickly, Vladimir Matyushenko, he's going to be returning on Friday the 13th, of all places, to Bellator here in light heavyweight action against Christian Mpoumbu, former light heavyweight champion in Bellator. With Matyushenko, I guess the big question is, what does he have left? He missed all of 2012, very quickly submitted by Ryan Bader in his last fight, so really, it's hard to gauge where he's at this point.
Yeah, it's true, but what he is, he's a name right now for the Bellator organization, and I mean, you need star power for one of your biggest divisions. Of course, the heavyweight division is, I think, the class that everybody looks at in terms of mixed martial arts as being in that marquee division. But for the 205-pound class for Bellator to have Matyushenko and King Mo and Quinton Jackson and the former champion and Christian Mpoumbu and Attila Vey, I think they're developing something. And even if Vladimir Matyushenko happens to lose, you still get those eyeballs for people tuning in.
I agree. When that's going to be your big division and you do have those other names, Matyushenko is a legitimate opponent. If he wins, he moves forward, and if he doesn't, he provided a good challenge.
And that's all for us. Don't forget, Cage Warriors 57 is airing Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on this network, featuring Paul Daly headlining that card in Liverpool.